vacation in London, he put it point blank: Nigeria's unity is settled and non-negotiable, saying government would not allow room for irresponsible elements to cause trouble. The president stated categorically that every Nigerian has the right to live and pursue business anywhere in the country without hindrance, and he cautioned against hate speech and comments that undermine national unity. On issues of security, he said terrorists and criminals must be fought and destroyed, even as matters of kidnapping, farmers-herdsmen clashes, and ethnic violence are addressed. Now, President Buhari added that the task before Nigerians is to collectively face the common challenges of economic security, political evolution, and integration, as well as sustain lasting peace. Now, how well are Nigerians ready to key into this? What's in place to check hate speeches and biased reportage, especially what you find in the social media? These are some of the issues we'll be taking a look at on NTA Tuesday Live. But first, let's get to see this report by Kolo Mohammed.
From 1960 to date, Nigeria's history has been replete with varying challenges. Not surprising, therefore, that these pockets of challenges and agitations linger to present day, due primarily to the insatiable human nature. When President Buhari assumed office in 2015, Nigerians had awakened thanks and hopes were sky high that a leader who will selflessly restore the economic and social status had arrived. Buhari deployed his energy and arsenal to recover looted funds believed to have jeopardized the future of the young generation. Unfortunately, the dogged commitment by the president to bring about accelerated development and social justice was slowed down by challenging health issues, leading to 3 months medical vacation. Now the president is back, and true to type, has given a presidential broadcast that dovetailed a major cause of concern to the society, namely hate speech, threat to nationhood, insurgency, kidnapping, and general insecurity. All these impact negatively on the country, and the president has come up with new strategies to address these issues to a logical conclusion. The agitation for secession, for example, has been laid to rest with a clear provision that it is in the purview of the National Assembly and the Council of State.
Issues concerning restructuring, issues concerning creation of states are issues within the purview of legislation, which is within the exclusive domain of powers of the National Assembly.
For us to live together as a united people, we must first emphasize, most especially on those things that unite us together, as opposed to those that separate us. And they must understand that as a National Assembly, we have the interests of the people at heart. We have only one obligation here, to pass laws and just basically push things, that will advance, add value, to their lifestyles.
We should hide under religion simply because I'm wearing this and simply because I'm on the pulpit doesn't mean that I have the power to speak irresponsibly. If I say what insults other people or offends other people, I should be liable to prosecution.
The president has also promised that he will re-engineer with the cooperation of Nigerians the issues of economy and lasting peace amongst Nigerians. Already, with his pronouncement on national security, public rising tension has been doused to usher in full flourishing economic activities.
Yes, and that report sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Let's introduce our guest to you. To start off, we'd like to welcome to this program Femi Adesina, who's Special Advisor to the President on Media. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you.
We're joined by Dr. Chidi Amaduekwe, who's Managing Director of Nigerian Film Corporation. Thanks for being here tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Let me also welcome Mainasara Kugo Umar. He's a lawyer, and a commentator on international diplomacy. Thanks for being here.
I'm grateful. Good evening.
And we're joined also tonight by Athanasius Okon, who is National Coordinator, Buhari Friends Organization. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Good evening, viewers.
Right, as we always do, we acquaint you with the procedure. At the appropriate time on this program, you can get to be part of the discussion. The various platforms will be on your screens. We advise you take advantage of them. However, for those who would be calling in, we say this every Tuesday. When your call gets through, do us a favor. Turn down the volume of your TV set. Just reduce the volume. That's the way to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And the best way to know a call has been passed through to the studio, your name will appear on screen. Once you see your name on screen, it means your call has been passed through to the studio. So just go right ahead with your question or comment. Don't bother too much about greetings. Just go straight to the point and keep it short and simple. And I do assure you that our guests here will be willing to address such issues as you might raise. So once again, welcome to NTA Tuesday Live. Let's begin to look at the issues. Let's start off with the special advisor to the president on media. Now, I've heard many comments made right after that broadcast by the president. So we put it from this premise and say, is it the length of it or the content? What was in that broadcast that would say is arresting? Is it a matter of a length or content?
Let me also add one other thing to it, the context. Length, content, and context. If I will start with the context, this was a president that had been away for 103 days on medical treatment. He came back to the country, and the broadcast was just to say, thank you for praying for me, and these are the things that happened while I was away, and these are the things we must mind. That was the context. It was not a State of the Union address. If anybody was expecting a State of the Union address at that time, that expectation was not right. The expectation was higher than what the context called for. And then, talking of the length, Ivan has just come back. He just wants to say thank you, and these are the things I observed while I was away. He doesn't have to do it in 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes. It doesn't have to be long winding. And then content. Did it touch on germane matters? Yes, it did. What are the germane matters in Nigeria now? Unity, coexistence, indivisibility of the union. Those are matters. Security, farmers and herdsmen clashes. All those things that the president mentioned are germane matters in Nigeria today.
All right. Thanks. Let's go on to Dr. Madueke, Chidia Madueke.
Yeah, for me, I want us to make a review of the presidential speech using the global, benchmark. There are people who are literally giants, like Ralph Waldo Emerson, who is a 19th century poet. And he said speech must have power. Speech must be persuasive. It must be convincing and compelling. And PMB's speech, when he arrived, had all these 4 parameters. And I want to let people know that powerful speeches are not usually very lengthy. Speeches that have turned the world around often have been very short, precise, and they are game changers because they were very much specific on the agenda of the man that made it. When Abraham Lincoln made his Gettysburg speech, it was very short. Today it's regarded as one of the biggest and the best speech in America that even the secondary school people till date have been made to memorize that speech. And you can go listen it. The shortest speech that Winston Churchill gave was what set the agenda for Britain to win the war against the tyranny of Hitler. It was not long, it was very short but precise. And besides, PMB had made it clear that His interest is the unity of the country and the security of the country, and disunity cannot, disembowelment of the country will not be under his watch. So he used this opportunity to re-emphasize that. As somebody who wants history to judge him along those three set areas, either during his campaign or while in office, that he set up. So he's definitely not happy with the Fulani herdsman going about. In the past, we have said he didn't make comment about it. Now he has come up. Say, listen, it cannot be business as usual. I have kept quiet, not that I have kept quiet, I have directed the military before now to be doing something, but now he is the commander-in-chief. He's coming to say, we are going to take this thing out. We cannot continue to watch, ethnic agitators. That's why he mentioned Ojukwu probably, because if you say you want to agitate for Biafra, you cannot be more intellectually endowed than Ojukwu in talking about Biafra. And if Ojukwu, before he died, even went on interview to say that there is nothing like Biafra, because we will not be doing justice to the dead. He led the first Biafra proudly, but now he can, it is just a non-issue. So that is why he mentioned that and tried to say, listen, my people, yeah, you want to do restructure. Oh, it's part of APC plan and action. But we can sit down and bring it through the process and procedure, which is one, the National Assembly is there, two, the Council of States are there. So you find out that those who are talking about speech or rejecting it are those who naturally rejected when the wife said, well, my husband is doing well, he's sick, he's in London. The acting president went, they rejected him. The APC governors went, they rejected their report about President Mohamed Buhari. Even when the PDP governors went, they rejected him. Some are still even wondering, are we sure the person that come back is President Mohamed Buhari? Even after he stood there and a guard of honor was mounted for him, you saw how strong and straight he stood. So there must be that rejection, there must be that opinion, but we must bring this thing to the focus of what has been happening before now. So speeches have been made, and like I've said, I'm to be proven wrong. Most world-changing speeches have always been short. When Ronald Reagan, after 40 years of Cold War, brought it to an end, his speech was very short. He said, Gorbachev, calm down this place, tear down the wall. And it is that speech that is resonating after Gorbachev had died. So I'm thinking that today, Buhari has put himself in the annals of great men of history who made strong speech, and after that speech, their purpose for life was more encapsulated, which is going to happen so in Nigeria from now henceforth.
All right, thanks a lot. Dasara Kugo Umar.
Yes. I believe the speech is timely. He has really demonstrated the high-level disciplinarian he has been all through his life, imbued in patriotism, discipline, and nationalism. People are trying to go beyond the bounds. It's a call for reflection. And you expect nobody other than him to do that, because Section 130 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria says that the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces is the Chief Executive Officer of the Federation. So he is giving the lead. He's giving the lead because we decided that the Constitution, law of the Constitution should be what should govern Nigeria. And the law of the Constitution, Section 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria clearly says Nigeria is an indissoluble and indivisible nation. That one is clear. Therefore, whosoever is thinking about divisibility of Nigeria should listen back. Anybody above the age of 50 should remember the tracks of the level of movement of Nigeria up to this level, the contribution of this gentleman, and should appreciate what he has said, and should appreciate the fact that he has a responsibility too in that context. Because whatever you are doing, the law of the Constitution is clear. Section 8 and 9 predicates any amendment of the structure or modus operandi of the governance of Nigeria purely on the National Assembly. We have the Council of State. Therefore, on no account should we be going roundabout. All those diversionary measures of setting up one committee or the other, President Buhari is a straightforward nationalist. He has seen the A to Z of patriotism and discipline, and he knows what it takes. And he cannot allow, that is why he's even talking about this Ikemba of Newi. 2003, his meeting with him. They were recapitulating the developments of Nigeria. Then they said that unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable. It is non-negotiable because the 3-year civil war buried the question mark of whether Nigeria should be disintegrated. And then the citizens too, they have responsibility. Section 15, subsection 1 of the Constitution clearly says that the motto of Nigeria is unity and faith, peace and progress. These 4 words encapsulate the summary of what President Buhari has said. We must be united. We want unity. You are not wiser than God that creates us of homogeneous nature in Nigeria. The 163 countries of the United Nations Organization have a total of 8,263 different ethnic tribes in the world. Nigeria has just about 200 plus. There are countries that have more population than us. Take the example of India. More different tribes, more number of religions, more cosmopolitan nature. Take China. You know, take United States. But they are living in peace and harmony. They are exploiting the diversity God has made them in order to pursue a common purpose of nation building. The whole world is moving towards globalization, which is in other words talking about unity, unity, unity. Now faith, you must have faith in your leadership. You must have faith in your leadership. That is where the citizenry have the responsibility to support the government. It is not just the responsibility of the leadership alone, but the citizenry must give the desired faithful followership. That is the reason why even in the Constitution, Section 15, subsection 2 and 3 clearly says that you are free to move to any nook and corner of Nigeria. You are free to get married to anybody. You are free to have residency right in anywhere you want in Nigeria. It's your country. The same thing, even the sections 33 up to 42 of the Constitution clearly talks about fundamental rights. The right for you to live, the right to the dignity of human person, the right for you to even express your opinion, to even exchange whatever. Greater number of the successful businessmen in Nigeria cannot do it with only their tribal kinsmen. A successful businessman from the south must do business with somebody in the north. A successful politician from northeast must do something with a south person. That is the reason why you see the right as provided in the Constitution for intermarriages, for businesses, for many, many other things. And at the same time too, if you look at it carefully, even God has made a lot of things. In democracy, you need population, we have it in the north. 90% of the economy is in the south. You are not wiser than God that decided that. If God did not decide who should be the mother that will born me, if God had decided I would have been a gorilla, or I would have been a small baby, or I would have been a river, or I would have been a stone. But God in his own mercy decided that I should be a human being born from so part of the country to belong to so tribe and so religion, not for anything, but for you to understand that God can do many, many other things. It is not your advocacy, your agitation that can change somebody.
Okay, right.
So,
Athanasius,
yes, I think I want to speak from the support-based point of view.
Right.
Good enough. I want to really thank the NTA for finding it necessary to bring me here. I've been looking for opportunity like this because we are on the field. We see better than those who are stationary. Now, let me talk straight about the fallout of Mr. President's speech. I want to start with features of good leaders. One of the best of them, to the best of my knowledge, is proactiveness. A good leader sees and know that the situation requires urgent attention. I want to quote him. It surprised even me when he said, while he was away, despite his health challenge, he was watching the events that was going on in Nigeria, were going on in Nigeria. Every evening we watched news. Therefore, that making my breast with what actually transpired while he was away. Mr. President, while he was away, was not unaware of what actually took place in Nigeria. And as he came in to demonstrate that quality of a good leader, proactiveness, he went straight. His speech centered direct on those areas. And you know what? to further demonstrate that 24 hours later, he convened a meeting of the security chiefs. One of the challenges, to the best of our knowledge, is security threat from different dimensions. What do you expect a good leader to do? To leave that one to go on lengthy speeches, to talk about River Niger and Benue, and 50 pages. They should wait for 1st October. What we are saying now, Mr. President had addressed the areas that requires urgent attention. And he didn't waste time meeting with the security chiefs. To do what? To swing into action with his military background experience, because you need such people to advise. He's a strategist. So you and I are not privileged at the meeting that held today among the security experts with the boss, the president himself. So why don't we wait and see the next line of action from that meeting? He didn't renege in that regard. One of his assignments, security for life and properties. With that security, would they talk about any other thing? Security first. After security, other things will go. So it's like this hypothesis. There can be no fire without smoke, if I'm right. Or there can be no smoke without fire behind. Yes. So there've been fire. Then what happens? Smoke will fall. So let's see and give him a chance. And the issue of economy, I can assure you, is going to surprise a lot of people. Just give him time. What I keep wondering, as a child of God, a Christian, my Bible is so clear. We have our own role to play as citizens, while leaders also have their own. Our own is that we should be supportive, pray for leadership. God went further to say, He's not unaware of such leadership. Leave them for me. Do your own work. You are not to judge them, but to do what? Complement their role by praying for them, supporting them, doing your own civic responsibility as a citizen. I think we should be playing that complementary role rather than leaving our own and start attacking leaders. It's even punishable for those of us who profess God all the time, for you to be attacking leaders. He said, remove first the big peck in your eyes so that you'll be able to see. That big statement carries a lot for those who can understand it. For you, if you can understand what that means, remove first the one in your eyes so that you'll be able to see well. Have you done your own civic responsibility as a citizen? Pay your taxes and other responsibilities that are expected of you as a citizen to complement the functions of governance and for those in the leadership position. So until we learn to do that too, then it will make sense in calling our leaders to order.
Right, thanks so much. And interesting the response so far that we've had. So let's look at some of those salient issues that came about with. We heard the president say he was saddened by the level of the vitriol, the hate that was being spewed forth from Nigerians. And even, ironically, even as you made that broadcast, you found that in the social media, there were various trumped up fake versions
of the speech
flying around. Yeah. What would drive people to do that sort of a thing?
It's really baffling. It's baffling. I don't know. What I think is happening is that some people are resolute in just causing mischief. On Sunday, the day preceding that broadcast, suddenly they began to circulate that there was a national holiday. A national holiday had been declared. And I began to get inquiries from the media. Is it true that a national holiday has been declared to celebrate the return of the president? I then called General Dambaza, who is the Minister for Interior. He said he does not know anything about it. Yet it was all over the social media that holiday had been declared. Mischievous people were behind it. Then again, another posting came that the broadcast that had been announced for 7 a.m. will now feature at 8 a.m. And people began to call me again. And I told them plainly, If it was changed to 80, I would know. But some people were simply behind this. And then suddenly, yesterday, another version of the broadcast came out. Somebody from the United States sent it to me to say, is this the correct version of the broadcast? I read it through. It was not similar to what the president read at all. I had to send him the original one. So it's pure mischief. Pure mischief. Some people are behind it. They have decided that they will cause confusion in the land. But what they do not know is that Nigerians, majority of them are resolute that this country will be kept, it will be preserved. So the tiny number that wants to cause confusion and cause disorder will not succeed.
You know, the various forms of communication which have been used in driving people's opinions. Now you have what is referred to as real-time communication because of what the social media does, and everything. The minute you're saying it here, it goes around. How best can we use this as a vehicle, other than for the purposes of mischief that he talked about?
It's very easy to use it for positive impact, but it has to be based on the level of cynicism we have in the society, because there are people who still do not understand that the 2015 election have come and gone, and that they have to just allow PMB to enjoy his 4 years and probably, of course, come back for 2019 and then see whether they can take him away from Aso Rock. You find out that because the social media is very cheap, so they use that platform to come with all sorts of mischief in order to create bad blood in the system. Unfortunately, we have looked at the social media presence of even other people before now. Take, for example, Obama. Despite all the successes he made, there were cynics who never believed in Obama, and they continued to pummel him. All I know that we'll continue when we have people like Femi here, who from day one, he's just interested in saying it the way it is. He's been very apolitical. He'll just tell you this is the truth. So we need more of them to help us situate this in the consciousness of our people who are out there, who are never going to get tired on using very cheap platform to say whatever they want to say. But the bottom line here is that government themselves have to get strong and face this evil squarely. Yeah, we may not be like Turkey or China that will want to come with certain, legal situations to curb them off. Because again, the point here is that the president is very interested in having every citizen of this country enjoy the freedom that comes with democracy. We are not going to be like China that we're going to lock up this and make sure people don't have it. You only continue to appeal with them. Government agencies like the Ministry of Information, like NOAA, like other agencies, will continue to come up with countermeasures that will see to it that these things, the hate, because it's actually the hate angle of it that is creating the problem. So like I said, the issue here is people are still not certain and not sure that they have lost election. So they continue coming with a new sing song. Even the restructure which you are saying, which it's not like APC is against it, but the procedure has to be followed. But you find out that those who are now talking more about it are those who have lost election or those who want to win election. So everybody wants some cheap, hold, to stand and get something. I was surprised the other day, I understand somewhere in Anambra, people campaigning are trying to, you are campaigning to be governor of a state, and you want to sound cheap to, exploit the sentiment of the people that said they want Biafra. The same people that said they are not going to be elected in Anambra, you want to come and tell us that, oh, when I'm the governor of Anambra, I will represent the agenda of Biafra, because you think that those people on the street don't understand, and you are an educated man. So you want to use, this. So I believe there is need now for very senior citizens from both sides of the divide, in all the 6 geopolitical zones, because it's not what government needs to do. I'm happy that the acting president, then now the vice president, made effort, strenuous effort, to get the people from Arewa land, from the Igbo land, from the Oduduwa land, to start talking. So I don't want that to stop. I believe that our National Assembly should move in now and go to their constituencies and do more, so that people will know that we don't have any other country, because the mistake some of us are making, that we are thinking that if anything go wrong, we can win it. Nobody can win it. It will be worse than Somalia. Okay. So the more we make people understand that we are stoking with fire, you cannot be having the equivalent of Radio Rwanda here in Nigeria, and we allow it to go. You just have to make them. If the game starts, you can't go beyond Zuba. The man in Zuba can't go to Kaduna. The man in Kaduna can't go. So it will be a total mess. Okay. Look at what's it called? Sudan the other day. They have not found their feet. They have their independence, and life is not better for them.
Okay.
So more education.
Our phone lines are already open, and I think we have a very first caller from Birnin Kebi, Umar Anache. Hello.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Siro. I'm Umar Anache calling from Birnin Kebi. Yes, I would first of all like to congratulate all Nigerians for the return of Mr. President. May God increase him in good health, all necessary courage and wisdom to lead Nigeria. His speech is very brief, articulate, precise, and direct, centered on security and national unity. Of course, no single speech of Mr. President that can address the expectation of all Nigerians. Therefore, I expect the address of Mr. President to cover some areas, particularly the areas of Nigerian welfare and palliative generally. Because since the increase of petroleum pump price, for example, to 145 naira, everything was on the increase. And including the foodstuff and other essential commodities. And on the other hand, the first time in 18 years.
Hello, Umar. Are you still there? Oh, dear. Well, we lost that call. However, Umar, I know you're a regular caller, and I know you'll probably try again and get back on this platform. So we'll expect that you'll call back, and we might be better with the connections next time around. Well, now, a lot of people are still asking, where do you draw the line? And now we're talking about hate speeches. Where do you draw the line between freedom of expression, you're entitled to your free speech, and this kind of thing we're witnessing at this time?
Well, democracy is not a horse running on a borderless field. There must be some restrictions. Section 14 subsection 2A clearly says that security and welfare of the citizenry is the primary responsibility of the government. Therefore, government will go to any extent to curtail any excesses perpetrated by anybody. History of the world shows that refusal to term excesses of perpetrators of these kind of things plunged the world into many, many problems. That was one of the problems that led to the First World War, which led even to the demise and collapse of some powerful nations. Ottoman Empire, for example, the defunct German Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, they are all now defunct. And this type of things, if you allow it to continue unabated, they normally do it with their foreign collaborators, which is against Section 19 of the Constitution that talks about our foreign policy objective, foreign policy drive. Everywhere in the country, in the world, nations are moving towards inclusiveness, globalization, restriction, moving closer to holding what you have. But in Nigeria, it is the other way around. We fail to even take simple examples of places. Eritrea from Ethiopia, for example, up to now it has not seen peace. North and South Korea. The question of, since the time when Pakistan and India got separated, since the time when Senegambia got separated. Near us here, Sudan is there. Therefore, it is not possible, all those so-called mediocre dreamers, none of them can be as patriotic to Igbo interests as the Ikemba of Newi. But at the end of it, he has seen the reality of the day. He has distinguished between dream and the practical reality of what he's seen in the daylight. Nation building is it. If you are not interested, you have the liberty, the world is so wild, you go to any other country and seek asylum or seek for citizenship. But if you must be in Nigeria, the fundamental position is that you must subject yourself to the Constitution as per Section 1 of the Constitution. The supremacy of the Constitution. It has binding force on all persons and authorities. So what I expect here is that the relevant authorities should be up and doing. You should not allow few handful individuals to plunk us into anarchy.
All right, let me ask you to pause a while here, and we'll return to the phones. We have another caller from Lagos this time. Okay, well, we lost that call, right? Just keep the calls coming through. We're hopeful that the lines will get better as we go on. Some nights can be can be like this. Yes.
I want to add to that.
Yeah, well, the freedom to say whatever you want to say. Some people say, well, it's my right to speak up. But at what point does that right, begin to end and another begins?
Well, I was at the point of saying, where your own stop, mine begins. Let me come home. The greatest thing I know that drives a nation is a culture of the people. When you have a debased culture, there is a big problem. I recall war against indiscipline. I recall issues MAMSA. Is it MAMSA then? All towards what? Cultural reorientation. I think that is our major problem for now. That reorientation issue should be put on the front burner now, especially now because of the younger ones, the children. Social media, I think government policy should come and address this problem as the issue of whistleblowers. You recall what happened when the issue of whistleblowers started. Fake people use that because they want to make money. The same analogy I'm making in the case of social media, because of hate speeches. I said in one of the programs which I featured that I witnessed what happened in 2015. Even Nigerian Television Authority here, Radio Nigeria, major government media houses were used by governments. The genesis of it. Today the thing has what? Had a spiral effect. People sponsors this. And I gave a solution. My solution was straight. If this problem was caused by government, people in government, then government should also stop it. Good enough, where is government is to come and solve problems. And one of the problems to be solved is the issue that affects our culture negatively. Social media is supposed to be very useful, but people misuse it to do a lot of things. Character assassination, all sort of negative jobs people pay for. Politicians especially are behind this for ulterior motives. Some, like the chief said, because they want to win election, because they have lost election before, then because of that, they can use all sort of means, not minding whether it has affected your rights or mine. So what I want to say is that for anything that has good advantages, there is always elements of disadvantages. Something should be done in regard to government policy as soon as possible to address these abnormalities, so that we now know where you use it and stop. Stop there. Don't go beyond there. But I know government would not say, let's stop the use of social media. No, it's not. It's part of the democracy, like the barrister said.
You should regulate.
Yes, you should
regulate.
Express your views, opinion as the Constitution so gave us the opportunity or the power to do. But that constitutional provision never said it should be unlimited rights.
Well, Let me come back to you, because this is your constituency now. You come from the traditional media. Today things have turned around, and we're seeing a tool that can be misused in the hands of just about anybody. Anyone with a smartphone can start a conflagration within minutes. That's just it. How do we begin to address this?
I think there must be a conscious effort. There must be some measure of regulation. The first regulation that will come will be self-regulation from those that use it. Each person that has a smartphone, that can go online, that can post anything, must have self-regulation, self-decency. But we know that not all persons will comply, because there are some people that are given to lying, given to falsehood, given to character assassination. Then such people need to be brought under control. That is why government must also have some measure of regulation of the social media. When we went to Abu Dhabi, January last year, it's a country of 2 million people. You may say, well, it's a small place, but in Abu Dhabi, it is said that if you post anything negative on the social media, within 5 minutes you are under arrest. Within 5 minutes in any part of that country, you are under arrest. So there must be something to control this. It was Socrates who said, every good thing has in itself the germ of its own destruction. It's the same with social media. It's a good thing, but the germ of its destruction is embedded in it. Yes.
Back to the phones now. We have from Ebonyi, Boniface calling in. Hello, Boniface.
Good evening, gentlemen on the day.
Good evening.
Yeah, my friend Femi is there, and October. My question is, our president has come back. All he addressed were important, but most important of all is exactly what took him out of the country for 103 days. He said, thank you.
All right. Well, the special advisor will address that.
Yes, we have said that several times. And it is clear in the Hippocratic Oath, which guides medical practice. It states that a doctor treating a patient must not disclose the ailment of that patient without the consent of the patient. It even says when a patient is dead, the doctor still has no right to disclose what was wrong with the patient. Therefore, it is the patient himself or herself that has the right to say, this is what ails me. If that patient is not ready to disclose it, it is within his right, no matter who that patient is. A common man, a rich man, a poor man, a president, whoever, it is within his right. When the president traveled and came back on March 10, he publicly said it. I had never been this ill, not even as a young man. Voluntarily. Nobody forced him to declare it. Now, if he will say it again, this was what took me out, it will be his prerogative. He cannot be compelled. Otherwise, it's an infringement of his right.
All right. Thank you very much. And let's take a look at the other aspects of it as we move from the hate speeches, the question of the unity of Nigeria. Dr. Madwikwi, I've heard people say, well, the president, it's not the first time he's talked about it. He's talked about it so many times, and you hear this echoed in so many quarters that the unity of Nigeria is not negotiable. Yet you have a small group who say, well, hang on a moment. It was the British that decided to put this contraption together, and they didn't negotiate with anybody. So shouldn't we have the right to renegotiate?
Yeah. The president has even said it that we have a right as different components to sit down and agree on how we want this republic, this nation to be. He has said it. But there has to be a procedure. You know, when some of my friends talk about this issue of restructuring, I ask them, what is going to be the step-by-step procedure, how this thing can be? You know, they come with all sorts of argument, which again means that it's a prescription for anarchy. You know, they come with all this argument that, you know, this area is not homogeneous. And I laugh at the whole thing. It's not being homogeneous that is the problem for us not forging our unity. You have, is it Somali, that is quite homogeneous, and people there can trace, you know, their genealogy. They are homogeneous to the extent that it's one religion, not just one religion, but 95% one religion. But the same, they have one sect. Is it the Sunni? There's the Sunni sect in the Islam religion. Now, they are pastoral, okay? Compare them with Botswana, who again, they were a country that were pastoral, they were homogeneous. Now today, Botswana leads Africa in terms of stability, in terms of development. Where is Somalia today? Somalia is in tatters for the last how many decades? So it is not a question of homogeneity that determines whether we can live together or not live together. So at least that one puts paid to this issue of we want to agitate because we are from one place and we are united. Then, like he mentioned, you take a humongous empire like India that is running to be the third economy in the whole world. One thing is certain, or even if you want to go back to the one of Somalia and Botswana, you can see they had the same background, but one thing was different between them. One, Somalia had this issue of a break in their government. There was always a military intervention. But in Botswana, you never had any military intervention until now. So they were able to factor and grow organically to what they want the society to be. Today is a very prosperous business destination in Africa that even the world, before they come to Nigeria, they even want to go to Botswana because certain things and assurances are there that can prosper business. So in that case, it's not a question of we are not united, we are not homogeneous. It's a question of us understanding that what binds us together is far more than what can divide us. And then we cool down and get it right.
Let's try the phones again. From Abuja, John. Hello, John.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Hello?
Do we have John on the line? Go ahead, John.
Okay, yeah. Good evening, guys. Good evening, guys.
Yeah, good evening.
Good to see you. Just a quick one. I think, actually, Mr. Femi Adesina, I've followed him for a very long time, and I'm so happy that today he was able to address all the questions properly. Because I do know him that he doesn't really address questions very well. Anytime he comes on channel speed, he doesn't really address questions very well. But today I'm so pleased with him that he has addressed all the questions perfectly well. But one thing that I really agree with him is that he was talking about the president, that it is the prerogative of the president to tell us what the nature of the sickness is. But it is not really his prerogative, and the reason is this. We are the taxpayers, and we're the one paying for we're the one paying the bills. So if we are the one paying the bills, I think it is just right for us to know what is it that we are paying the bills for. And apart from that, I think also the panel that you have, everyone is a proponent of Buhari's policy, and so I think it's not right enough. I think you should have a mixture. You should have some people that will oppose the policy of the Buhari if we have one or two persons that is doing that, so we can have a robust debate, if you get what I mean. So it should not just be one direction. Like I'm listening to it now, everyone is saying the same thing. Oh, we love Buhari, we love Buhari, we love Buhari. Nigeria can't develop that way. We need to have some people that will say, oh, this is what is wrong with Buhari, and we have some people that will say, this is what is right with Buhari, so we can have a robust argument. So from there, we can pick up good things, and then we can pick up some good lessons. So thank you so much, guys, for the program. It's a nice program, a great one. Well done, Sir Stoba. I'm so proud of you. That's all I have for now, and
okay.
Take care of yourself.
Right. Thank you, John. The other aspect regarding what the special advisor on media to the president said. I'd leave that to him. But you have just answered the question that you put across by saying that you needed to have people with a different opinion. And that's why you have an interactive session on this program. Okay. And that was exactly what you have just done, because you called in and you had a different opinion. It would be impossible to put 170 million people into the studio. That's why Tuesday Live is interactive. We do expect that all those who are watching, they might have a different opinion from what's been said in the studio. They're quite, they're quite free to, to air those views. And apart from the phone calls, there are other platforms as well. The Twitter handle is there. And we do encourage all those who watch this program to take advantage of that. And so that's how it is. The opinions are diverse. Well, the other part of it I'll leave to him.
Okay. When the calls became vociferous, we want to know what our president is suffering from. One day I called up a lawyer, Barrister Monday Ubani, who is a friend. I said, the fact that President Buhari is a president, has he stripped him of all rights, all privacy? And he told me no. He said no. He said he still has his rights, he still has right to privacy.
Yes, yes.
So, if he's not inclined to disclose his ailment, he is covered under the law.
All right, back to the phone. Still more calls coming through. We have Henry who's calling in. Hello, Henry.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, I greet all the guests in the house. Yeah, I congratulate Nigeria for Nigeria 6 star. Sir? Hello?
Yeah, go right ahead. Go on.
Okay. I congratulate Nigeria for being in a one accord of peace for our able president, Muhammad Buhari. I greet our brother, Femi Adesina. There is a big work that we need to do concerning this our country. You see, those people that be on the part of agitation, sometimes we go to blame them. Sometimes we still look at the other way around. We can't blame them much. Because the lie is flying in this our country for years ago. They have made almost everyone to almost lost the sense of reason. Like me, I'm a child when Buhari came in the military as the head of state. Since that day, I follow Buhari up my standing as I'm talking to you. Buhari, if we see Buhari like 2 to 3 in Nigeria, all this area we find ourselves before this time, we will not reach there. That is my contribution. We need to reorientate the mind of people for a good thinking. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Henry. Yes, back to the studio here.
Yes. This issue of disclosure of Buhari's ailment is his constitutional right. Section 35 of the Constitution clearly says that there is a right to life and there is a right to privacy. And Buhari is not the only leader who happens to be suffering from one ailment or the other that has remained surreptitious. It is his own personal discretion to disclose or to conceal. Ariel Sharon of Israel was at a time down. Yasser Arafat, King Fahd of Saudi Arabia, and so many examples. Even Robert Mugabe. And there is no binding obligation to disclose anything on that. Then the question of whether all of us are pro-Buhari, I think is a reflection of the nation. The tumultuous welcome, the unprecedented kind of a gigantic reception, despite the very short notice of President Buhari's return, is a testimonial to that. Up to now, there are parts of the country that are jubilating, welcoming the hero. It's only in Nigeria we don't appreciate the value of that man. When President Barack Obama visited Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta talked to him. He said, Your Excellency President, from your ancestral background of this country, there is the need for us to explore some window of multilateral or bilateral cooperation to advance development for us or to give us some ideas. President Obama laughed. He said, Why are you laughing? I'm asking you something serious. He said, Yes, there is somebody that is more serious, more endowed, somebody that has one of the greatest respects you can imagine in the world. One of the 5 best leaders we have is there in Africa. If you can get close to him, you can get the inspiration on how you will advance the cause of nation building in your country. He said with that, he told him, the newly elected president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari. But we don't appreciate the precious gift God has given us. He's one of the most celebrated Pan-African nationalists you can ever be proud to have in this contemporary period that we have. So it's a period of national regeneration.
Thank you.
It's a period of everybody to put hands in deck. The responsibility of the governance is the pure challenge on everyone. The nation ethics is social justice. Social justice means you should treat your immediate neighbor equal. You shouldn't do what you believe is injurious to yourself to your immediate neighbor. Mutual cooperation, economically, socially, politically, that is the way we can advance. No nation advance into development in fragmentation or in unregulated kind of talks we have in Nigeria. So the authorities should regulate this type of media utterances, whether it's in, social media or any other form of media. We need regulation. We need sanction. Absence of sanction makes people to continue perpetrating what they are doing unabated.
Right. From Abuja here, we have Kehinde calling in. Hello, Kehinde.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I just want to have a very short statement. I want to, first of all, greet all of you for all of you have spoke well, and I want to greet our president that congratulate him for his health. And what I want to say, let me go straight to the point, is that Nigeria is created by God. That is what I want you people to know, and that is what I want Nigeria to know. So God knows why He created Nigeria, and God He has purpose for Nigeria, and God is leading Nigeria to somewhere. He's leading Nigeria to a promised land. So I think what me and you need is prayer. Because for what is happening in this country, there is some country that is passed through it, which is the divided them, and they have never survived it. They are still passing through war till today. So being divided, for Nigeria to be divided is not the solution. So what we need, me and you, like what I said, is prayer. Be a Muslim, be a Christian. We need prayer. And we need to be sincerity is very important to each other. So if there's no transparency, sincerity, integrity in this country, we will not go forward. So this is my point to this country and to our leaders, the National Assembly, our leaders, executive. So these people need to come together, and transparency should be ahead of whatever we want to do in this country. The Lord will help us in Jesus' name to reach our promised land. This is what I have. Good evening.
Right. Thank you very much, Kehinde. And it's at this point we'll take a short break. We'll be back in a few moments and look at other aspects of the presidential broadcast. Stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Make you report any crooked person, object or wakajube movement to police and security agent demo.
The security of our nation now work for all of us, plus including me and you.
Nigeria, make we unite against terrorism. Now, Federal Minister of Information and Culture bring on this message.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
It's a public space.
Yeah, thanks for staying with us. Sure, it's a vibrant discussion here, even behind the scenes. So, as usual, we took the cameras to the streets to talk to Nigerians, what they think about hate speeches and calls for division and secession. Let's get to hear what the citizens feel.
So hate speech will destroy this country, economically, physically, anyhow you take it. So the issue is this: people should talk reasonably, maturely. It's the way you react. Your maturity is the way you react to situations, whether it is good or bad. You don't just open your mouth and say things that will ginger people, whether you are tribe or ethnicity, or your religion, or against other people. So what you always preach, you preach peace. If you want to talk, you talk reasonably, preach peace, unity, integrity, and you like for your brother what you like for yourself. Criticize the lapses positively, not negatively, so that it will help the leader correct his mistakes and bring the country forward.
Hate speech is a kind of speech that will arouse
people to act against a nation, against the president, is what I think. That's the role of the National Assembly and the National Council of State. You see, I don't think Nigeria needs to amend their constitution. Let me go a little bit. Nigeria needs a new constitution. A constitution that was drafted in 1999 by the military is not part of the democracy.
So hate speech is not good. It's not the same as freedom of expression. I think we should disassociate ourselves from hate speech because it's not good. So he saw the damages that this hate speech, quick notice here, hate speech there, is doing to the country. That's why he made that statement, I believe. He made that statement in a good stead, to try and tamper the inflammation as a result of the hate speech. So I think he was right from what he said, that hate speech is not going to take anybody anywhere. Before now, we lived as brothers.
Surely can. It can, because of the ethnicity, religious, regional sentiments attached to it. Because you are hurting people that of different tribes or different religion or different region from your own angle, and that can cause disharmony.
Hate speech can tear a nation apart when it's not what to make such hate speech. And as a nation, such thing is not supposed to be heard of because it's not building any nation. Rather, it can tear a nation. So I didn't support the motion of persons, bringing up or making a hate speech. It destroys. So
it hinders a nation from progressing. It can even spring up violence.
Right, the voices of the people are the issues. Forging unity, uniting this nation. It's one of the key aspects of that broadcast. How Nigerians can get together and as one people take on the numerous challenges of building a nation.
Yes, like I said earlier, they need to go into our culture. It's necessary now. And I'm happy we have agency in charge of that. I recall as a small boy, the MAMSA, I have to re-echo this, war against indiscipline. I saw that era to be a new culture into Nigeria. I recall a small boy was along Yaba in Lagos. I told a military man, sergeant in rank, who was urinating by the rail line. I said, why? I ran away. Why I ran was because he's a military man. But you know what? That why, the man just, I don't think he actually finished. Yes. So the slogan was so dangerous. So what I'm saying, if there is a need, there is a need, if the agency in charge, I think National Orientation Agency can take that role now, MAMSA or war against this. So now take it down to the schools, especially to catch the young ones, because they should be the target now, because they are growing up. And the people that are so vulnerable in regards to the hate speech stuff here, the younger ones with phone, have little or nothing to get themselves meaningfully. They use this to do a lot of things. So for unity to be in place, it is a responsibility for all of us, wherever you are. I thought Nigerians should bedevil themselves with, those involved in this, with how food can be brought to the table for the poor masses, in whom I advocate for. That's my calling here. I'm not here to speak for Buhari like the man was saying. Yeah. My own is, how can the poor man out there have 3 meals? And we should encourage this president because that's what he wants to. That is why the issue of diversification from money economy we used to have to agriculture. Food security. Why? Because of food security, so that an average poor person will have access to food. Then these people are coming with distraction. So to foster unity, I believe we have to go back to the basic, the culture. Nigerian culture needs to be worked on again. And Nigeria has a peculiar culture, Nigeria, that until you flog people, until you do something that somebody will learn a lesson, another person, serve as deterrence, no matter what you preach. So the policies of government have been excellent. The laws are quite good, but the implementation, as far as I'm concerned, is where we have a problem now. Until we close our eyes, that is why we went and begged Buhari now. Please come, because of the decay in our value system, infrastructure, monumental corruption, and high level of indiscipline. Informed people like us to go to Dara and beg him, please change your mind. And I was the leader of that project. So in view of that, we called him to come because there was high level of indiscipline. We derailed so badly. So in an attempt for him to come and do things right, the society, I know, so some people will not like good things all the time. They wanted this man to die. All of a sudden, he didn't die. They are not happy. That's where you see the reaction. The reaction is in bad faith. That's it. Now, I said in one of the interviews I granted that why didn't you people talk to the acting president on the areas of basic necessities of life, security, etc., that come, you have not done well in this as a government. We insisted until Mr. President come in person. No, you are wrong. That means you have something up your sleeve against that man. Because they didn't believe he's alive. The genesis of this problem is that they didn't believe, no matter what you tell them. People like us will tell people, he belongs to a particular society, Islamic religion. When you die, no matter how big, you must be brought out for burial. And there is no way they will keep this man for so long. So he is not dead. Since these people never saw him dead because they wanted him dead, and God said no way. He is not dead because he has a mission. And until that mission is fulfilled, I strongly believe he won't die. So culture, we have to go back to that.
Right. Back to the phones we have from Delta. Another Henry, this time from Delta. Hello, Henry.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, I'm very happy to be with you. I've been watching since I was 8. I'm just so happy I'm talking with you. I'm talking with you on phone now. And I want to contribute to what discussion you people have been doing. I just want to make a few points. Can I go ahead? Hello?
Go ahead, go ahead. We're listening to you.
Okay, the issue of one traveling out to see treatment and all that. I really think, what is it called? If a man is incapable, exhibiting his duty as the president of the country, I think he should honorably, I don't know, kind of tell the people if we can continue with the power, the
Yes? Henry, go ahead. Do we still have him on the line?
Yes.
All right. Well, so far he was able to put, he said he had a few points, but the only one he got around putting across, we'll leave that to the to the president's spokesman.
What did he say actually?
He was wondering if the president was in a position to run the affairs of the nation.
Oh, okay. Well, what Henry and people who have the same opinion or mindset should realize is that exactly a week before the president came back, I was one of those who had seen him in London, and he told us that left to him, he was already in Nigeria. He wanted to come back home, but that he has also learned to obey his doctors, and until the doctors give him the clean bill of health, he will not be able to come. And then exactly a week after that, he arrived. So that shows that between the time he spoke and the time he came, something had happened. The doctors had certified him fit enough to return and to continue his work as president.
And
Right.
so I want to support
Yes.
that. Yes. I wanted to support that by saying that they keep making the mistake as if there is division in the presidency. In this kind of presidency, we have the American type of presidency. The presidency is one. The vice president and the president himself, they are one. And even when the president was not there, there was no vacuum. So the president, acting president, then continued to do all that needed to be done. And you read some of this, they say, he didn't talk about the economy. What was there to talk about the economy when, by the time he was coming back, for the very first time, our foreign reserve hit $31 billion. That figure was last in 2015 during Jonathan. So if under recession, the economy have hit 31 billion, that was what Jonathan left it, and we're in a recession. So it shows that our economy is pulling out of recession. And economically, we are doing very well. At the law conference, the vice president revealed that for the very first time in this country, that over 1.3 trillion were spent in capital. And they say Buhari is in a hospital, and we are spending more than this country have ever spent before. During the same period, Buhari is sick. Nigeria was pulled out of the 10 most corrupt country, which is the first time in 10 years that we are experiencing that. And they are saying Buhari is sick and nothing is happening. It cannot be true. During the same time, the AU elected President Buhari to take the charge of corruption in Africa, and he's sick, and they're saying nothing is happening. What I want to say is that the presidency is one. So whether he's an acting president on duty or the elected president on duty, Nigeria is functioning, and the result is very clear.
Okay, Umar called in earlier on, and just as he was making his point, the connection was disrupted, but he's back again. Umar, you're back on the line from Birnin Kebbi. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Ciro. The last point that I want to raise is that for the first time in the last 8 years, federal civil servants experience what they call salary shortfall. And I believe the shortfall is not natural. It's caused by somebody, either by a commission. And since last year, this shortfall has not been addressed. Motivation. Even the security agents and the military need motivation. These are the areas that I want Mr. President to cover. There should be a policy, a national policy on palliative and motivation. That is the point that I wanted to raise. May God continue to bless our country. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Right. Well, he did talk about ensuring that the nation moves forward, rebuilding the economy, and part of what Umar is saying is finding a way out to introduce certain palliative measures for those who are hardest hit by the attempts to regrow or boost the economy. Yes.
Yeah. Already, the government is very focused on that. That is why we have the social intervention program. Under that social intervention program, you have, the end power, you have the conditional cash transfer, you have the school 1 meal a day going on, you have the entrepreneur training, the Jeep thing. So you can see that the government, and apart from that, you have a policy on agriculture that is pulling millions of Nigeria into farming. You had the NBS, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, said that last year, Femi circle, we use Kebbi again as an example. 85 millionaires were made in Kebbi State. And this year, 250 millionaires are going to be made in Kebbi State. We're not talking about a Ebonyi State, which is very buoyant and poised to now feed the entire Southeast as it were. You can see that the new definition of who is a millionaire today in Nigeria is going to be who can provide 1 million metric tons of rice. That is why you have Dangote is going to be the largest exporter of rice, because the enabling environment in Africa by the year 2050. That is why you have Koscharis there in Anambra has done so much rice. In Nasarawa, the same thing. What are we trying to say? We say we got to produce what we must consume in order we minimize what we are wasting in terms of import. That is why you find the president went to Abia. Abia, I think, was one of the first places the president went to set up the SME clinic. Abia is one of the places that the president directed, the acting president directed that power be made dedicated to the area market. So that you go to the area market now today, you find that people are sewing clothes, they are sewing shoes over the night. You find that the directives were made that the Nigerian military should be using the shoes made in Aba. So you find there is capacity enhancement in Nigeria under Buhari administration, and that is why we are pulling out of recession. That it has never been done before the way it is being done. I guess that is that we're on course.
Right. From Yola, we have Abdul Rashid calling in from Yola. Hello.
Yes, sir. Hello. My name is Abdul Rashid.
Yes.
From Yola, Adamasto. Yes. Yes, sir. Hello. Good evening.
Yes, go ahead, Abdul Rashid.
Yes, sir. I want to congratulate our president for coming back from his own medical treatment properly. So I also congratulate all of us for being part of this program.
Oh dear.
My major contribution to that program is that we want Nigeria to be one, we want Nigeria to be one at the same through media broadcasting. So I want a spokesperson of Mr. President, please continue to advise Mr. President so that they should implement some policies that they have put in place, like social investment, starting security currently, Biafra education, enhancement by
Well, I'm sorry, Abdul Rashid. It's extremely difficult to get to hear you clearly. The line is not very clean, so we might just have to ask you to call back if you can before we conclude this program. Yes?
Yes. The task of nation building is a collective phenomenon. I wonder where our eminent nationalists are, recipients of national honors. Even if you have never received any national honor, the fact that you are an elder statesman by age demands that you should show exemplary conduct. You should be the one to be the shepherd of the youth clubs or associations within your particular locality. You should be the custodian of moral guidance. We need moral regeneration. Whatever is going on negatively is an article of corruption. And Section 15 of Section 5 says that it is the responsibility of the state to fight corruption in all its ramifications. Now the state here translates into elder statesmen, whether serving or retired, the president himself, his council of ministers, the governors, the commissioners, the local government chairmen, national and state assembly members, ambassadors, armed forces members, whosoever is in Nigeria, once you are in the position of responsibility, either natural responsibility or official responsibility, you have a duty to ensure decorum and discipline in our nation. We need evolution of elder statesmen. We want the national statesmen to come out and be speaking gospel of national unity, gospel of patriotism, discipline, patriotism, and nation building. This is what we want. Your silence is translating into your refusal to contribute towards nation building. We want you to come out if you are really sincere. Don't be somebody who will climb over a ladder and then throw away the ladder when he's already on top there enjoying the fruits.
All right. We have from Lagos, Ben calling in. Hello, Ben.
Yes, sir. All right. We have from Lagos.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
Go right ahead. Your name is on screen. Your call is through. Go right ahead. We're waiting.
First of all, I want to thank Mr. Femi. Hello, sir. I'm Mr. Femi from Lagos.
Everybody is thanking Mr. President.
I want to thank Mr. Femi Adesina.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
It's a really patriotic Nigeria. It's very patriotic Nigeria. But that is why we are choosing. All these agitations and all these kind of things they are talking about, the president has been able to address it. Any other thing people are talking about is visions to me and to the majority of Nigerians. The president has addressed all the issues in 6 minutes. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you, Ben.
So, can I?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Go
in
ahead.
addition to what the chief said, in regard to economy, for the first time since 1999, to my knowledge, apart from the $31 billion in foreign reserve that you mentioned, the last quarter is subject to ratification anyway. I got to know revenue that accrued to Nigeria, non-oil sector, was higher for the first time. I think it's something we should also appreciate this government because of the deliberate policy on diversification, and agriculture was a lead sector in this regard. Revenue that came was more than oil. That means we are no longer depending on one.
Exactly.
And that is what was very difficult before now.
And
So,
please,
so I see that as a good development in the polity. So without a good leader who had this vision to think in the direction of diversification,
right,
what would have happened?
Okay. Well, just an addition. I heard that a good number of pilgrims from Kebbi State are paying for themselves.
Right.
These were people that depended on government to send them to pilgrimage before. This year, they are paying for themselves because they have made more money.
Right.
Yes.
Now, one of the biggest aspects here, and I'd like you to, underline the significance of this. The president spoke. He singled out a number of issues, felt those were the burning issues of the moment, and chief among them was the question of security, the insurgency which has been fought on a daily basis. And shortly after that, I think Athanasius made reference to that. In barely 24 hours after that, he had summoned a meeting of his security chiefs. Now, put in perspective the importance, the import of that move, and are we going to see moves like this in addressing those other matters which he touched on in his broadcast?
Yes, I want to believe that everything he mentioned in the broadcast will be followed up on. We've seen that within 24 hours, the issue of security had been followed up on. I believe everything that was mentioned will have follow-up steps being taken so that it's just not left in the realm of talk, but there will be action. And the broadcast was just 6 minutes, but it was loaded. And it's also in consonance with the nature of our president, a man of few words, but of action. So I believe that everything that was mentioned will be followed up on.
With the security issues that we've been facing, how best can the citizens key in and help in supporting the agencies at different levels?
You can't succeed in security without having the local people engaged in it. You can't succeed in security without talking about the hearts and mind of the people. So when the president addressed this issue the way he did, it was very, I don't know who did the speech, but to me it's one of the best speeches I've seen the president. He touched in all aspects of it. The critical security threat here was, before he became president, was the Boko Haram. But when he became president, other security threats started emerging. And as a man who likes to deal things in a very asymmetrical manner, he has now said, he has always been doing something. He has been asking the army, the police, to do all these cattle rustling issues. He have dealt with them in the past, which means there were more criminality in them than based on ethnicity or ethnic religious. Now he has said the military need to move, or the police, the security people need to move into it and nip it at the bud. And that is where what my colleague here was talking about, the community leaders coming into term. Okay, fine. He said, he made a very good statement that everybody have a right to live in any part of the country. What does that mean in effect? He's saying that this quit notice to Igbos by October 1 is a non-issue. I am the commander-in-chief and I'm saying it. Otherwise, you dare not tell Igbos to leave the north. Now he has said it. The leaders in the north should be able to take a cue from there and complement it and start talking to the people, the young man. Listen, this is better for us to maintain the status quo. Baba has come, but this is what he said: forgive and forget. Whatever that stimulated that is gone. The same thing with our leaders in the southeast. They should also take that olive branch of Mr. President and say, listen, it's a no-go issue. You can talk about how we can build a united nation, a viral nation. We must differ because we are a federal state. But the leaders in the southeast should be able to start reaching out. People can reach out to these people who are agitating. Have they been called at the village level? We have governors, we have senators, we have leaders in that place, we have ministers from that place. Have they sat down and said, this is Southeast Forum meeting, we want to address this? We cannot be here as elders, like my people say, the goat will go and give birth with a leech on the neck. So what are we doing? Because to be honest, when I saw that video of Biafran DSS, to me it looks very ugly. And I don't see how any man who consider himself a prominent person in Igbo land will keep quiet and don't want to, because we all went there. We know what it is. The same thing in the Southwest. Southwest, well organized. They always been very progressive. They have their Southwest development agenda. So they're already taking care of that area in a way it's supposed to be. But it would be nice. I saw the other video, one of the one man. Again, these people are always living outside the country. They are not here. He's sitting down there in America and he's asking the Yoruba young boys to go and remove the signboard of Moritala Muhammad on the airport, because that means that the Southwest have been conquered because a Fulani man bearing the name. So we have work to do as elders in all sections of this country. We cannot continue to keep quiet and say, oh, Buhari, listen, that speech, I bet you 100 years, 50 years to come will be recorded as one of the best speech that President Buhari made. As we are talking about the speech of Ronald Reagan, Theodore Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, that is where that speech lies in. And since you are the foremost speechwriter, or one of those who knows, I don't know how you people did it, but I use this opportunity to thank you, but you did well in that speech.
Well, and one of the biggest challenges, like he said, the insurgency, Boko Haram came in, but all the challenges came in, particularly the question of the farmers-herders clashes. And that he also talked about must be addressed.
It must be addressed, certainly. And like I said, governance is a collective phenomenon. In Nigeria, everybody will now shut up and be looking at the government at the apex to create magic. There is corresponding responsibility on all the state governors. There is corresponding responsibility on all the traditional or cultural institutions. There is corresponding responsibility on the local governments and even, like I said, elder statesmen, religious leaders, and whosoever has responsibility for what do I call it, ethnic regeneration. You need to. The ethics of Nigeria is social cohesion, social unity, social cultural harmony, and encouragement of even intercultural and interreligious marriages.
All right, let me just ask you to hold on a while. We have a Fidelis on the line. It's been there for quite a while. Fidelis from Ibadan. Hello? No, that call isn't coming through, is it? Hello?
No.
Hello, Fidelis.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Right, please go ahead.
Okay, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Everyone of them on the stage.
Right.
Yes. My contribution to what is going on is that, well, first of all, let me just say congratulations to Nigerians on what we are experiencing. And as a matter of fact, I want us to know that all of us cannot just agree to say Buhari is the best at the same time. When you go to the market, the noise you hear in the market are just two. Number one, I am going to buy. The second one is I am not going to buy, or I'm not going to sell. Even if it is only 50% of people in Nigeria that say Nigeria is good, Buhari is good, let us agree.
that they do. But let us not forget that there are bad eggs in the country today. Who does not want better things, good things to sprang up? They look for one way or the other to make sure that who will be able to stand and say, let's follow the right way, must not arise. Thank God for Buhari. Many things have happened. He has undergone many, many things, which he may not be able to say out. But one thing I pray for him is that he will live long to reap what he has planted in Nigeria. I was small in 1985 when he started. If had he been, the enemies of Nigeria allowed him to do what was in his mind at that time, before now, Nigeria would have been better than we are running to everything. They did not allow him to continue. If he has continued, that is what they still want to do this time around, but God will not allow them. Amen. And I know that by the grace of God, one day, Nigeria will turn back to beat the band that, Buhari is our best. And the Lord will give him sound head. Himself and his family, they will live to eat the fruit of their labor. Though I'm still small, but I know those who are planning bad for Nigeria, I don't want to pray for them. I will have said they should go and never witness what is going to happen the next day to come. Thank you all.
Thank you, Fidelis. Right. Okay.
Yes. I was talking in the context of moral rectitude, the responsibility, the collective responsibility of everyone. Whether it's cattle rustling, whether it's this ransom something, what do they call it? Kidnapping. Whether it's Boko Haram or whatever is it, is the refusal of those natural leaders within us to be proactive in that context. Because these criminals are living with us. They grew up with us, they were born there. We all know them. But in a situation whereby the society is shielding them away, thinking that it is solely the responsibility of the government, then we are missing the point. It is the responsibility of everyone, like I said. Where are the state governors? What efforts are you making? What are the periodic reports of the progress you are making in identification of those responsible? Where are our traditional methods of checkmating crimes? We used to have all these things. And if you are talking about, say, it is the federal government, it is the federal government, then at the end of it, those that will face the problems are within the constituents of your domain as the governor. The governors must take it up, must forget about the issue of saying that it is the responsibility of the government. No. Yeah. The section 14 subsection 2A that says security and welfare of the citizens is the responsibility of the government did not say the federal government. It's the government. So therefore, we want to see the Buhari stamina and the Buhari zeal and Buhari patriotism in all our governors. I challenge them to prove that they are equal or even higher than Buhari. This is the happiness Buhari wants to see. He wants to see the implanting of the Buharis among the ministers, among the governors, among the local government chairmen, among whosoever has the responsibility to be called Mr. Somebody in Nigeria. We want to see that. That is the only way we can get Nigeria out of all these problems. So long we now take it theoretically, say it's the responsibility of the federal government, we are missing the point. The problem of insecurity in Nigeria is a collective responsibility on everybody. If it is in the mosque, you see somebody coming with a black polythene bag, it is your responsibility to ask, what are you carrying there? We were in the days when if somebody comes with a polythene bag and throw away near you, no matter how concentrated you are in the prayers, you will just vanish away and start chasing yourself through the doors or the windows. We saw that time. Now we have seen stability. People are now seeing stability. For the first time in the Northeast, people are now doing this Eid prayer. People are celebrating. In Maiduguri, in Gombe, for example, there was even Doba. For the first time, we are seeing peace. Peace is the harbinger of any development in any nation. Without peace, we cannot achieve anything. And this peace is something that should be brought by everybody. We have the responsibility. The traditional rulers must wake up from slumber. You have the responsibility. The issue of the taking away of your responsibility from 1975, the local government reforms, that is the excuse they are giving. Shouldn't come into play this. You have enormous responsibility placed on you by God, placed on you by the government, placed on you by the constitution, and placed on you by the citizenry, because everybody is expecting guidance and leadership from you. We want traditional evolution of security protection for our citizens. We want everybody there, no matter how small is your responsibility, whether it is within the level of your family, or within the level of your ward, or within the level of your local government, or within the level of your state, or within whatever level. And people should begin to ask questions. People should begin to ask questions. So long you remain docile, so long this great Gangatium monster of insecurity will continue to forbid, and you may not know whether you are the immediate next victim of it.
Yes, that's an issue. So.
Yes, in addition to that, I will always go back to history. In this same country, the NCHA being the platform, I used to hear these slogans: security is everybody's business. That man sold rest in peace. I think I met him in person at the Ratin sometime. The man behind security is everybody's business. Community policing, sir. Let's come into it. Then solution. There's one solution I'm going to give to Femi to take it up. I recall in Ucheros and in Edo State, something happened to him. And then it was like untouchable. No human being, no gun can bring it down. But a strategy came. And that was the end of him. In a question of time, I will give Femi my own little. Then when you see crisis, especially my own side of the Niger Delta, the major vulnerable people from the pipe explosion, the pollution that will come from that is the community people that live there. Yeah. They are the target. They are the one that suffers the consequences of this blowout of the pipes, etc. The same people you want to protect are the ones that will die from the pollution first. So at the end of the day, there will be nobody there. So what I want to say, security is everybody's business. That slogan should be reignited. It's necessary. I think it's part of the assignment that we should now give again. Added assignment to National Orientation Agency. That we have to come together and believe in security, what do you call it, community policing. Everybody will watch one another. Yes. The moment we introduce that system, while you are going in front, somebody is watching you behind. The other one ahead of you will turn his back and also watch you coming. The moment we introduce that safe security around us, some of these things will be nipped in the bud. They will not even come to the level of the Boko Haram cattle rustlers involved in these activities. Once they notice that they are checked, the thing will fizzle away on their own. Especially the one I want to tell Femi to take it down. You will be seeing great things happening. It's very efficacious. It will work. I've given you a case study. And then it was brought down. I think we'll take home that. Something can be done.
Well, as we begin to wind down on this program, we'll just take the aspect of the administration's relations with the citizens. The Nigerians say, look, let's get more out of this administration. Let's know more about what this administration is doing. We want to have a feedback mechanism so that the people can tell their leaders this is exactly what they want, and the people want their leaders to open up and, include them as they go along.
Well, that's part of governance. Governance is not a one-way track. The governed also has a part in governance. There must be feedback mechanism. But you also need to realize that when this government came, there were severe problems in the country. Severe problems that need to first be tackled. I was glad when the Vice President said in Lagos yesterday that a good part of the mess that was inherited has been cleared. Now, with that mess being cleared, we will see governance take fresh direction and shape in which there will be better engagement. Yes, I agree with you. There must be engagement between government and the governed, and it will be looked into.
Right.
I have an appeal here to our people to say, let us remove cynicism. That cynicism means that we find it difficult to even appreciate that government has brought about this COP. And we are staring this COP in our face, and we're saying, no, government have done anything. When I was coming back from my village December last year, I was pleasantly surprised at Ishiago. I saw the road being torn apart like it's never been done before. From Ishiago, that's the Port Harcourt Enugu Express Road. I also saw the same thing happening around Onitsha Express Road. We know what is happening at Mokwa here, and these are roads that had been there, and nothing happened to them in the last 16 years. So why can't we just remove cynicism and say, well, these people are trying. I come from area in Abia State that the road stopped in 1998 when President Buhari was the chairman of PTF. The road going from Umuahia to Aruchuku. It's been there from 1998 till date. And it's only now that Buhari is the president that road, our Minister for infrastructure has made money available, and some other roads like that. Yet we see these things, we want to say, no, nothing is happening. I'm only appealing to people, please. Election is a cyclical thing. It comes every 4 years. Let us know that election of PDP APC 2015 is gone. Let us see, even if it's good for the opposition, I'm happy they are getting their acts together so that we can meet ourselves 2015 and know whether they can push away APC or APC will continue. I know APC will continue. So I just want them to understand that we are here for good, and the index is there, not what we make of. The World Bank, AMF, the other day published that the TSA gathered over 200 and something million, is it dollars or billions, since they came into place. TSA is not our creation, but we had the political will to bring it into action. So we can continue counting. Now, we are in a recession. And I want to end by saying that in any recession, there are global acceptable method of getting out of it. You must produce, you must consume what you produce, and then you produce yourself out of poverty. And that's really what we are doing, because since this government came, our allocation to capital project is nothing less than 10-15% of the total amount, which means we are spending more money for production, not for consumption. All the railroads that we are building, by the time next year we get them on, it will reduce inflation. The person carrying his tomato from Zaria to Port Harcourt will not have 5 trailers out of 10 falling on the road. 10 will arrive Port Harcourt, so he will sell his price for 10 trailers and not for 5 trailers. So I want people to understand it's not easy. Yeah, when you talk, they say, but rice is still costing more than it was costing before. Yes, it has to cost, but at the same time, you should know that more people today in Nigeria are producing rice and exporting it to Burkina Faso, to Mali, to other neighboring countries. And they're making good money in the north. So which means we must look back to what is thing that we got, which is the agriculture. And today we are celebrating China. A time came when China, they were wearing the same dress as I'm wearing black. Everybody in China is wearing black. But today, they are manufacturing cars that are doing well because they came to time to say, we must produce what we consume. So I want our people to buy into that idea of producing what we consume and know that when 2019 comes, they can do the election and we see who wins. But right now, the election is over. Let us allow the APC government to deliver on the promises they are already delivering. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Your closing comments,
Yes,
Minister
national
Akubu
responsibility is a collective challenge to everybody. Everybody should consider himself a leader. You should lead with quality in character. Leadership in character is what we want. Everybody should assume himself as a leader. Little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. It is the absence of the synergy of everybody in the ship of governance that is making us drill. We have all that it takes to be one of the developed nations in the world. We have the mineral resources. From desert to the sea, that is where you get all the mineral resources in the world, and we have it. We have some of the most brilliant people in the world. We have a leader now, which is an opportunity, one of the greatest, most respectable leaders in the contemporary world. So we should exploit that chance. We should all put hands in nation building so that Nigeria can reach the El Dorado we are all dreaming about.
Right. I thank God I've been an activist right from my school days. I will always speak for the proletariat, the masses, the poor, the downtrodden. I just came home. I flew into this state today. I drove from Akwa Ibom to Calabar, where I spent some days for what I'm working on. And you know what? It took me 1 hour, 30 minutes. My car. I was scared. And I said, God, this man, I took a CD during campaign. I documented, he called Ekpene Road Aba Umaya. I went to General Buhari and gave to him. I didn't know he was going to take notes of that CD. He put it there. But what happened? Femi will say here, 54.7 billion naira dualization of Ikot Ekpene, Calabar Road will commence soon. But the palliatives we talked about some time ago, about 6 billion was released. You drive to Calabar, smooth, sweet, as it is now, from Uyo. I'm a beneficiary of that. And people who didn't want Buhari to emerge are also beneficiaries. You see, for those of us who go to church, who hold Bible, who are Christians, be careful, because you don't buy the finger that fits you. Then there is not always a negative multiplier effect of doing that. You don't spit your saliva down on the ground and pick it back. It has a negative consequence. The man has done so well, we should rather encourage him. For me, I stay here without any fear of anything to say, thank you so much, Mr. President, because he has given contract. He has awarded it to even the best construction firm. Julius Becher, to mention it here. I don't fear it. Because Becher never entered our place. It was abomination. But for him to say they should do that road, Calabar, he called Ekpene, down to Aba access. There is no better, because it's a very good economic road if you go there. So I'm so happy, Mr. President. You've done that one for me. That's for me, yes.
All right, well, this on that note, we'll have to leave this discussion and say thank you very much to all our guests here. The presidential spokesman, Femi Adesina, thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
And the managing director of the Film Corporation, Nigerian Film Corporation, Chidia Badwikwe, thanks for being here with us. And Mainasara Kugo Umar, thank you for giving us the legal perspective.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And well, he's described himself as an activist all through and through. Atanasio Suko, National Coordinator, Buhari Friends Organization. Thank you for being here.
So much. Thank you so much.
And thank you also for being part of this program. Next week we'll reach you again on NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stover. Bye for now.